ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. I welcome everybody to the Gita Jnana Yajna program by Academy of Yoga and Oriental Studies, Bhubaneswar. This is a lecture series on Srimad Bhagavad Gita by Dr. Indulata Das, Director, Academy of Yoga and Oriental Studies, Bhubaneswar. This is lecture number 3 on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Today we will discuss Gita, an introduction, part 3, Gita Mahatmya from Varaha Purana, part 1. Today we will discuss on Gita Mahatmya of Varaha Purana and a few slokas, that is part 1. In Varaha Purana, there is the discussion about there is a discussion about the Gita Mahatmya or glory of Gita as spoken by Lord Vishnu. Dhara Uvacha. Dhara means the earth, goddess earth is asking, Bhagavan Parameshana Bhakti Rabhyabhicharini Prarabdhang Bhujyamanasya Katham Bhavati Prabha. Goddess earth is asking Lord Vishnu this question. The Anvaya of this shloka would be like this: Bhagavan Parameshana Prabho Prarabdham Bhujyamanasya Abhyabhicharini Bhakti Katham Bhavati. Let us discuss the meanings of a few words, then we will see the meaning of the whole shloka. First, Bhagavan Parameshana Prabho. That means, O Supreme Lord. Prarabdham Bhujyamanasya, while consuming Prarabdha karma or the result of past actions. Abhyabhicharini bhakti, unflinching bhakti, undiluted bhakti, undeviated bhakti. Katham bhavati, how is it possible? So, Goddess Earth is asking Lord Vishnu, who is in Varaha Avatara, she is asking how it is possible to have unflinching bhakti when one is submerged in the water of or in the sea of the samsara, the world. The meaning of the sloka would be like this: O Supreme Lord, how can one have unflinching bhakti while consuming his prarabdha? Now let us see the explanation. When one consumes prarabdha, he is submerged in the worldly life. How can one practice undiluted bhakti? When one consumes his prarabdha, he has to either experience happiness or experience sorrow. In both the cases, he has to submerge himself. He is associated or he is submerged wholly in the water of the world. In the worldly matters, he is always submerged. How is it possible to practice undiluted bhakti in that condition? Because bhakti requires vairagya. Vairagya is necessary for bhakti. And in vairagya, one has to withdraw his mind from the world and concentrate on the Lord totally. Unless one withdraws his mind from the world, he cannot concentrate on the Lord. And bhakti means to concentrate wholeheartedly on the Lord. So it is not possible. Now, Vishnu Ruvacha. Vishnu Ruvacha, sloka number 2. Prarabdham bhujyama anuhigita bhyasarata sada samukta sa sukhi loke karmana nopalipyate. The anvaya of the sloka would be like this: Prarabdham bhujyamano gitabhyasaratah bhavati. यह प्रारब्धं भुज्यमानो गीताभ्यासरतः भवति स लोके सुखी भवति स कर्मणा नोपलिप्यते स मुक्तो भवति. Let us see the meanings of a few words. Prarabdham bhujyamano, while consuming his prarabdha, gītābhyāsarata bhavati. If one studies Gita or lives a life according to the teachings of Gita, then what happens? Sa loke sukhi bhavati. He lives happily in this world. Sa karmana nopalipyate. Karma is not smeared on him. Sa mukto bhavati, he is liberated. The meaning of the sloka would be like this. Even while consuming the results of prarabdha, if one practices Gita, he lives happily in this world. He is not attached by any action, he is liberated. One is when one is consuming the result of prarabdha. Prarabdha, as I have earlier told, prarabdha is that action which has already started giving result. So in result, one has to consume either sorrow or happiness. One has to experience either sorrow or happiness. In both the cases, he has to be worldly. He has to be inside the world. And when he is attached in this world, how can he attach his mind on the Lord? That was the problem. Here is the solution. Lord Krishna says, even while consuming the results of the prarabdha, that means even when he is attached to the world, even when he is totally submerged in the ocean of world, if one practices Gita or if one lives according to the teachings of Gita, then he lives happily in this world. Number one, then he is not attached by any actions. Number two, and he is liberated. Number three. Let us see the explanation. Sa loke sukhi bhavati. He is happy because he goes beyond worldly sorrows and happiness. Sa loke sukhi bhavati means he is happy. He lives happily in this world. How? Because he goes beyond the worldly sorrows and happiness. When one reads the Gita, he studies the Gita and tries to live according to Gita, then he knows that the world is full of sorrows, and all the happinesses are also sorrows. Dukkhalayam asaswatam. This world is dukkhalaya, full of sorrows, and it is also very temporary or ephemeral. Therefore, he goes beyond these sorrows. He actually all the time he tries to experience the spiritual happiness. Sukha dukkhe samay krutva labha labho jayajo. Gita says that equalize your sorrow and happiness. Then only you can go beyond the sorrow and happiness. You will be able to experience the real happiness, that is the spiritual happiness. So when one reads Gita and tries to live according to Gita, so loke sukhi bhavati. Loke means even remaining in this world, he is sukhi, he becomes sukhi, he remains sukhi or he remains happy. Sa karmana nopalipyate. Second, he is not smeared by any action. No action can stain him. He is not attached by any action. Now let us see how many actions are, what kinds of actions are there. There are four kinds of actions. Number one is Shukla karma, that is white action. That is a good action and it gives good result. It gives good result, that means it gives happiness. Second is Krishna karma, that is bad action, it gives sorrows. Number three is Shukla Krishna karma, that is a mixed action, it gives mixed result. That means the doer gets both happiness and sorrow. Then there is number four. The fourth action is Ashukla Krishna karma, that is done without attachment. That is said as Niskama karma in the Bhagavad Gita. It gives no result. That means the doer is unaffected by it. The doer doesn't have to experience the result of the karma, whether it is sorrow or happiness. He is not attached by any result. He is not affected by any result. This kind of work, this kind of action is done for the sake of the world, for others, or it is done as a duty, not for any return. This kind of action is done by the yogis. In Yoga Sutra 4.7, we find this Karma Shukla Krishna Yoginas Trividham Itaresham. Ashukla Krishna karma are done by yogis and Trividham Itaresham. Itaresham means others. Others do others perform the three kinds of actions. The first three kinds of actions are performed by others, who are those who are non-yogis, and the yogis actually perform the fourth kind of action, that is ashukla akrishna karma. That is called niskama karma in Bhagavad Gita, and it is the performer is not bound by the result of this karma, and he doesn't have to consume the results of it, and as a result he doesn't have to come back to this world in order to perform, in order to experience, or in order to consume the results of his prarabdha. Then he is mukto bhavati, he is liberated. He is liberated as a, if one practices, or if one reads Bhagavad Gita, studies Bhagavad Gita, and he lives according to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, then he is liberated. He is liberated while he is in the world. Liberation is of two kinds. One is Jivan Mukti, that is liberation while in the body, and the second is Videha Mukti, that is liberation after he leaves the body, after his death of the physical body. So one is Jivan Mukti. If one practices the teachings of Gita, then he attains Jivan Mukti. That means he is liberated while in the body, and then he is liberated finally after he leaves the body, and he doesn't have to come back to this world again. Then we come to shloka number 3 of Varaha Purana, Gita Mahatmya. The shloka is like this: Mahapapadi papani Gita dhyanam karoti chet kvachit sparsham na kurvanti nalini dalam ambuvat. The Anvaya or the prose form would be like this: Gita dhyanam karoti chet Gita dhyanam karoti chet tarhi mahapapadi papani nalini dalam ambuvat kvachit sparsham na kurvanti. Let us see the meanings of a few words. Gita dhyanam karoti chet. If one meditates on Gita dhyana, meditation on Gita, that means he concentrates on the teachings of Gita and tries to imitate or tries to live according to the teachings of Gita. Then tarhi means then, mahapapadi papani, sins like mahapapa, etc. Then nalini, five means five mahapapas. Nalini dalam ambubat sparshang na kurbanti, cannot touch, like water cannot touch a lotus leaf. Mahapapa, etc. They cannot touch the person, just as water cannot touch a lotus leaf. Although the lotus leaf is in the water, still then the water cannot touch the lotus leaf. So also for a person who is practicing Gita, Mahapapa, etc., or sins like Mahapapa, etc. Mahapapas are five, and in etc. we will discuss what is etc. So Mahapapa, etc., sins like Mahapapa, etc. cannot touch him. He is not affected by Mahapapa, etc. Now let us see what are the papas. It is said Mahapapadi papani. Papani, Mahapapa. Papa, what is Papa? First of all, Papa is that action which is forbidden, prohibited by our Shastras. Any action which is prohibited by our Shastras is called a Papa. And these are five. Papas are again, they are classified as Mahapapa, Mahapataka, Upapataka, etc. So Mahapatak, there are five Mahapatakas or Mahapapas. In Manusmriti we find it. Brahmahatya surapanang steyang gurvanganagamaha mahanti patakanyahu sangsargaschapi taisaha. That means the five Mahapapas are Brahmahatya, or killing a Brahmana. Brahmana is an intellectual person. Killing an intellectual person, and drinking wine, it is the second Mahapapa. Stealing is Mahapapa. Sex with the wife of Guru, that is also a Mahapapa. And fifth is the association with these sinners. These are the five Mahapatakas. So number 1 is Brahmahatya. Number 2 is drinking wine. Number 3 is stealing. Number 4 is sex with the wife of Guru. And then number 5 is association with the sinners. that is the 5th Mahapataka. Like this, there are 5 Mahapatakas according to our Smriti. Then there are 12 Upapatakas according to Manusmriti also. इंधनार्थम अशुष्काणां द्रुमाणाम अवपातनं आत्मार्थं च क्रियारंभो निंदितान्नादनं तथा अनाहिता अग्निता स्तेयं ऋणानम अनपक्रिया असच्छास्त्राधिगमनं कौशिलभ्यस्य च क्रिया धान्य कुप्य पशु स्तेयं मद्यप स्त्री निषेवणं स्त्री शूद्र बीट क्षत्र वधो नास्तिक्यं चोपपातकं. These are the 12 Upapatakas according to Manusmriti. Now, these are the 12 Upapatakas. Cutting on dry trees for fuel. Then number 2 is cooking for one's own self only and not sharing the food with others. Then 3, eating prohibited food. 4, non-performance of Agnihotra. Then number 5 is stealing anything. Then non-repayment of loan, reading wrong shastras, then participating in drama, etc. Then stealing food grain, gold and animals. Then number 10 is sexual relation with drunkard lady. Number 11 is killing women, Sudra and Kshatriyas or Kshatriyas. Then number 12 is atheism or that is Nastikya. Not respecting the Vedas. Nastiko Veda Nindaka. Not respecting the Veda, that is called atheism or Nastikya. These Mahapatakas and Upapatakas, the 5 Mahapatakas and the 12 Upapatakas do not stain the person who practices Gita. If he has performed any of these actions earlier, and that action is now in the deposited karma or in sanchita karma, then he doesn't have to consume the result of these either the Mahapatakas or Upapatakas. If he reads Gita, he studies Gita and he lives according to Gita. Then we come to sloka number 4 of Varaha Purana Gita Mahatmya. गीतायाः पुस्तकं यत्र यत्र पाठ प्रवर्तते तत्र सर्वाणि तीर्थानि प्रयागादीनि तत्र वै. The Arnaya or the prose form would be like this. Yatra yatra Gitayaha pustakam patha pravartate tatra prayagadini sarvani tirthani vai bhavanti. The meaning of a few words, let us see. Yatra yatra, wherever, Gitayaha pustakam patha, the recitation of Gita Grantha, then pravartate, that is continues or takes place. Tatra, there. Prayagadini sarvani tirthani tatra vai bhavanti. All the pilgrimages like the Prayag, etc. assemble there. So the meaning of the whole shloka would be like this. Wherever there is the study of Gita, all the pilgrimages like Prayag, etc. assemble there. So study of Gita itself is the greatest pilgrimage, and therefore it may be said that all the pilgrimages like the Prayaga, great pilgrimages like Prayaga, come or assemble there. That if one reads Gita or lives according to the teachings of Gita, daily studies Gita, then he doesn't have to visit any of the pilgrimages like Prayaga, etc. Because study of Gita itself is the greatest pilgrimage. Then we come to sloka number 6. Sarve devascha rishayah yoginah pannagaschya je gopala gopika bapi narododhava parshadehi. The Anvaya would be like this. Sarve devaha cha rishayah yoginah pannagaha gopalaha gopika bapi narododhava parshadehi saha tatra santi. Meaning of a few words. Sarve devaha, that means all gods. Rishayaha, rishis, yoginaha, yogis, pannagascha, the serpents, great serpents, gopalaha, gopika, the gopalas, the cowherds, the gopikas, cowherd women, the great devotees of the Dwapara, Narada Uddhava Parshade, along with Narada Uddhava and others. The meaning of the shloka would be like this: all the gods, rishis, yogis, serpents, the Gopalas and Gopikas, along with Narada, Uddhava and others, assemble there. That means wherever there is the study of Gita or there is the recitation of Gita, all the great persons like the gods, all the great persons like the rishis, yogis, etc., even the gods, even the great serpents, even the great devotees like the Gopalas of Dwapara and Gopikas of Dwapara, and the great devotees like Narada and Uddhava, etc., come and assemble there. So it is that place where Gita is recited is purified. I'm sorry, this is sloka number 6. Earlier it was sloka number 5. I'm sorry. This is sloka number 6. Earlier it was sloka number 5. Sahayo jayate sigrang yatra gita pravartate yatra gita vicharasya pathanang pathanang srutam tatrahang nishchitang prithvi nivasami sadaivahi. The Anvaya or the prose form would be like this. Yatra Gita pravartate tatra sigrang sayo jayate. He Prithvi tatra yatra Gita vicharaha pathanam pathanam srutam tatra aham sadaiva nivasami. Let us say the meanings of a few words. Yatra Gita pravartate, where Gita is present or Gita is recited. Tatra sigrang sahayo jayate, help comes there very quickly if needed. If help is needed, that help comes very quickly where Gita is present or Gita is recited. Hey Prithvi, that means O earth. Jatra Gita Vichara, where there is discussion on Gita, Pathanang, Pathanang, Srutam, reading, teaching and hearing of Gita takes place. Tatra aham sadaiva nivasamihi, I always live there. Certainly, he means certainly. Tatra means there, aham sadaiva nivasami, I always live there. Lord Vishnu says, who is in Varaha Avatara, he says that wherever there is Gita Vichara, wherever there is discussion on Gita, Gita is being read, or Gita is being taught, or Gita is being heard, I always love to live there. I always dwell there. Meaning of the whole shloka would be like this: O earth, help comes to that place immediately where Gita is present in various ways. In one of the various ways. I certainly live in the place where Gita is read, taught, heard and discussed. So why help comes immediately? Because Lord Vishnu already is there. So if we require help from the Lord, it is available then and there because Lord himself is present there. So this is a part of the glory discussed in Varaha Purana. It will continue in the lecture also. I thank you all for listening to this lecture, and I would like to receive your questions and suggestions if any. If any, you may write it in the comment box. Thank you again.